वसुदेवसुतं देवं कंसचाणूरमर्दनं देवकी परमानन्दं कृष्णं वन्दे जगद्गुरुम्। सर्वगुह्यतमं भूय शृणु मे परमं वचः। इष्टोऽसि मे दृढमिति ततो वक्ष्यामि ते हितम्। मन्मना भव मद्भक्तो मद्याजी मां नमस्कुरु। मामे वैष्यसि सत्यं ते प्रतिजाने प्रियोऽसि मे। सर्वधर्मान् परित्यज्य मामेकं शरणं व्रज। अहं त्वा सर्वपापेभ्यो मोक्षयिष्यामि मा शुचः। इदं ते न तपस्काय न भक्ताय कदाचन न च शुश्रूषवे वाच्यं न च मां योऽभ्यसूयति। यैमं परमं गुह्यं मद्भक्तेष्वभिधास्यति। भक्तिं मयि परां कृत्वा वैष्यस्य संशयः। न च तस्मान् मनुष्येषु कश्चिन्मे प्रियकृत्तमः। भविता न च मे तस्मात् अन्यः प्रियतरो भुवि। अध्येष्यते च य इमं धर्म्यं संवादमावयोः। ज्ञानयज्ञेन तेनाहम् इष्टस्यामिति मे मतिः। श्रद्धावाननसूयश्च शृणुयादपि यो नरः। सोऽपि मुक्तः शुभान् लोकान् प्राप्नुयात् पुण्यकर्मणाम्। कच्चिदेतत् श्रुतं पार्थ त्वयैकाग्रेण चेतसा। कच्चिदज्ञानसम्मोहः प्रणष्टस्ते धनञ्जय। अर्जुन उवाच नष्टो मोहः स्मृतिर्लब्धा त्वत्प्रसादान् मयाच्युत। स्थितोऽस्मि गतसन्देहः करिष्ये वचनं तव। Verse 64. Now this is the last chapter, 18th chapter. This is also the essence of the entire Bhagavad Gita. And in this also the Lord has indicated two types of sadhanas, Karma Yoga and Gnana Yoga. And Karma Yoga contains Bhakti Yoga also. Whatever be the path, the ultimate only way we can attain to our goal, Sharanagati. That is what he wants to say. And these coming few verses are the most important, the best and the most meaningful. We will try to explore them. Now 64. What is it telling? Sarva guhyatamam bhuyah shrunu me paramam vachaha. O Arjuna, shrunu me, from me, paramam vachaha. These are not ordinary words, but the extraordinary teaching, the highest truth. And what type of truth? Sarva guhyatamam. This is the most secret of all teachings. Most secret. Where is it talking all these things? In front of the 18,000 people who are about to fight. He is shouting that this is the most secret thing.
But they cannot hear.
Yes, you are absolutely right. That's why one of our Swamis used to say, you are here, but you don't hear. What it means is that even if some secret, E is equal to mc square. you openly tell. How many people understand it? In the whole world, there are not more than 6-7 people who could understand Einstein's theory of special theory of relativity. It is open secret. What it means, Sarva Guhyatama means the most sacred thing I am going to tell you. He has already told. The whole 18 chapters he has been telling, but he is summarizing it. Why is he telling? Lest you may think there is something very ordinary. I have been going on talking about this. No, this is coming from the mouth of Bhagavan himself in the very end. Then comes a most wonderful word. Why am I telling you? O Arjuna says, Ishtosi me dridham iti. Ishtosi, you are my most beloved. That means what? The Lord will never reveal these things to anyone excepting whom he likes. Now, one thing I want to tell you, the Gita is the essence of Upanishads. Because even if you don't know Upanishads, you get the message of the Upanishads, essence of the Upanishads. But if you know the Upanishads, then you can enjoy it thoroughly. So in one of the Upanishads it is said that he upon whom the Atman's grace falls, for that person Atman reveals itself. So we think we are choosing God. No, it is God who is gracious, and then he says, you want to know my secret? Then he will reveal himself. Unless he reveals, nobody can see God. Sri Ramakrishna's most important teaching, he gives an example. A police sergeant is going round with a torchlight, and everybody, he can see everybody, but nobody can see his face. But if someone says, I would like to see your face, then he has to pray to him, and then he will turn the torchlight upon himself. So, the word used in Sanskrit, vrinite, him whom the Atman chooses, to him, unto him, the Atman reveals its nature. And you know what does it reveal? It simply says that I am you and you are me. Aham Brahma. What is the word for that? Thou art that. Tattvamasi. Thou art that. And only then the disciple will experience Aham Brahmasmi. So he is telling what is the importance here, that whatever sadhana we may do, we will never progress 1 millimeter unless God removes the obstacles. The brightest example of it is Totapuri. You know Totapuri's story very briefly, that he lived with Thakur for 11 months, and he was a Brahmagnani. Thakur himself told him he was a Brahmagnani 50%. 50% he was not a Brahmagnani. Inside, when he closes his eyes, he sees Brahman. When he opens his eyes, he sees Maya. That is not complete. So Aham Brahmasmi can be attained in meditation. But Sarvam Brahma, that has to come with the next step. Not only I am Brahman, everything is Brahma. That has to know. Sarvam Khalu Brahma. So that realization must come to everybody, and it will come sooner or later. As you know the story, that he got stomachache and then he wanted to commit suicide, and he entered into the Ganga, and he went from Dakshineswar side to Belur Math side, and then there was no water to kill himself. He was thinking, what happened? Then Mother, out of her grace, revealed to him that he was everything. Then Totapuri understood. Because Sharat Maharaj's biography of Thakur, Leela Prashanam, if you don't read that, most of the things that Thakur talks about can never be understood. Then Totapuri Maharaj understood. Totapuri Maharaj And also this Puri is very important word. Puri. Bengal was blessed. Swami Vivekananda remarks in his reply, I think either to Madras or Khetri Maharaja, Bengal is one of the worst states in the whole world. But it has been lifted up by the grace of two Puris. One Puri was Madhavendra Puri, because of whom Chaitanya Mahaprabhu had become so great. And second was Totapuri Maharaj, Thakur, both incarnations of God. Both times incarnations came in West Bengal. And he is going to come again. Understand?
Yes.
Yada yada hi dharmasya glanirbhav, he has to come. So, the point is, Totapuri did not understand the Divine Mother was sweeping away all the obstacles, and the child was, he was progressing. He was thinking, all by myself I am going forward. But invisibly, from behind, the Divine Mother was removing all obstacles. I have got so many, Puranic stories to tell about the moment egotism comes, pride comes, immediately the fellow will fall down. That's why so many stories about Narada Maharshi. Once he felt that he is not attracted by women. He was a great soul, but Puranic stories are telling for our benefit. So Narada Maharshi became very proud that I am a conqueror of lust. Why? Because he can go even to any woman's quarters. Nobody prevents him, because everybody trusts him. Everybody distrusts him about his behavior in other ways. The moment he comes, everybody is like Shanigraha. What is going, where is the next problem, suffering is going to come. But regarding women, nobody doubts. Even Hiranyakashipu, he can go inside and talk to his wife, to his daughters. He doesn't have any daughters. But anybody he could talk. Nobody would suspect him. So, the Puranic stories are meant for our edification, so that we have to be careful. This pride came. He was boasting to Vishnu, Lord, and he said, I have absolutely no attraction to women at all. Narayana was smiling. And then he asked Narada, what is the news? He said, everywhere this is going and that is going. But I heard something about a particular city. City? I have wandered the three worlds so many times, but I never heard about this city you described about. So you never heard? It is there in that area. So this time I will make sure that I will visit that city. So he deliberately went there. The moment he entered, it's a most beautiful garden full of flowers. The bees are humming, and then it is spring season. And suddenly he forgot how spring season can come in summer season. And then he entered, and there was the one lady he saw, forgot all his boasting and everything. It's a big story, I will not go. But the essence of it is, at the very end of it, the Lord corrects him and says, never ever feel that you have conquered. Why? The explanation comes in the Bhagavad Gita. And is that Daivi Hesha Gunamayi Mama Maya Duratyaya. We have read it. Kothao podichi bole it mone hochhe like Gayatri mantra. Remember the story? Gayatri mantra? One Brahmin boy was invested with the Gayatri mantra. Morning. Evening he sat down to repeat. He had a doubt whether he heard the Gayatri mantra correctly. So he went to his father and said, Baba, is this correct? Baba said, recite it. And he recited. He said, I remember having heard it many years back. After that, he never repeated it. So, this Daivi Hirsha Gunamaya, this Maya is my Maya, not anybody's Maya, it is divine Maya. Nobody can come out of it. Mama Maya Duratyaya. But who can come out? They who worship me and obtain my grace, I will tell to them, hey, this is our man, don't trouble. And then only avidya Maya, he gets transformed into Vidya Maya. He understands. But that brings humility. Thakur's life also, there is an incident, if you remember. Once he felt, I conquered lust. Then he went to Panchavati after 2-3 days. Then, an unrecorded, orally transferred tradition is going on. This is never written anywhere. Some incident is mentioned there, but Thakur Kothagulo, very rude words, are what is called village, Patwa. He said, "No, pai bosre me ke vujudi dekhta hu, ek bar phele deta hu." Even if I have seen in that state a 90 years old woman, I would have thrown her down and fallen upon her. Such is the power of the Divine Mother. In fact, Divine Mother, when she wants to destroy somebody, she will tempt people. Where do you get it? Every day we are reading Shumba and Nishumba. How did she sow the seed of destruction? She became very beautiful. If she had been a little bit ugly, they would not have been interested. Yeah. Similarly, Ravanasura, how did he get destroyed?
Her sister told her.
Sita.
Sita is very
Sita is, because Rama had to destroy. But before destruction, they have to be put in the net of Maya. Everywhere like that. It's more. And then when the Lord wanted to cheat the demons, Rakshasas, after the churning of the milk ocean, and the nectar came, what form did he assume? Mohini. And I told you also, if you remember what happened to Shiva.
Yeah.
If you remember. So, this is Daivi Maya. And when Sri Ramakrishna went into Samadhi, within few hours after being initiated into sannyasa, he went into Nirvikalpa Samadhi. Totapuri could not imagine it. He said, 40 years I have struggled to get this, and even then it was not complete. But this man, within a short time, kya Daivi Maya hai? I can't understand it. What is Daivi Maya? I can't understand it. If you understand, it is not Maya. If you don't understand, and if you don't understand that you don't understand, that is Maya. I have to tell you a nice joke. Yesterday I heard, one day the Pope Francis, the present Pope, he was going somewhere. So the car was waiting outside, and then the driver was waiting, and the Pope he was standing. The driver said, Your Holiness, please enter. We are already late. He called him and said, look here, they never allow me to drive the car. I have terrible desire to drive the car. So no, I can't allow you to drive. No, I won't tell anybody. And nobody can object. I am the Pope. So he was put. So he started driving Pope, and the driver was sitting there, and it was a covered. And then this fellow, as soon as he came out of the Vatican gates, he pressed the accelerator. 200 kilometers it was going out. Then the police started chasing. They looked into the policeman, and then he got a terrible shock. He saw Pope himself. He phoned. I must inform to my highest officer. He phoned. This is what is happening. Arrest him. No, I can't. He's a big man. He said, who is it? Is he a bishop? No, much bigger than that. Is he a cardinal? No, he's much bigger than that. Is the Pope? No, much bigger than that. Because if Pope is offering somebody, it must be only God. Everybody offers Pope, but the Pope is offering himself means it must be somebody higher than. Higher than that is only
God.
So, this Maya, it will not allow us to know that there is something wrong. If anybody comes to know that there is something wrong, that person is already more than halfway to the solution. That is why psychiatrists have this biggest problem to convince their patients that they are patients. Yeah, sometimes the psychiatrists become patients because they must have so much of patience to convince their clients that they are really mad. Anyway, so it's very difficult. That is why Sri Ramakrishna's teaching is take refuge. You have no other way. That is the teaching of the, here he says, Sarva Guhya Tamam Bhuyaha. I have told you many times, but I am telling you again, because it is so difficult to understand, even if it has been told so many times, and still it is a wonder. Ascharyavat pashyati kaschidenam, ascharyavat vadati tathaiva chanyaha. As we have come in the second chapter of this Bhagavad Gita. When a person speaks of this Atman, then everybody, what wonderful thing it is. And the person who is listening, for him also it is something surprising, wonderful. For both the teacher and the taught, those who listen, for everybody it is wonderful. Why is it wonderful? How many years we have been talking? If I am talking about gospel, what am I talking about? Only this truth. What is the truth? You are God. You are divine. If we are talking about Narada Bhakti Sutras, what is it? You are divine. You are a child of God. If you are talking about Bhagavad Gita, you are a devotee, you are God. But what a wonder, nobody understands it. Nobody understands it. Why? Because of Maya. So what is this Maya? It is divine power. How can it be removed? Only through God's grace, and there is no other way. Sarva guhyatamam bhuyaha tato vakshyami te hitam. I am telling for your benefit. Why? Because God has nothing to give. God only can give. God will not receive. He can't receive. Because what is there for God to, what can you give to God? And whatever you give, already to whom does it belong?
God.
It is only to God. But then what is it? You acknowledge, oh Lord, I also belong to you, and whatever I thought belonged to me also belongs to you. That is called knowledge. To me, tomar. What is avidya maya? Ami, amar. Me and mine. And what is vidya maya? To me, tomar. Whatever exists. अब जफर की समझ में आ गई जो कुछ है सो वो ही है. You sing that song, beautiful song. Everything is Swamiji's favorite, most favorite. तुझे से हमने दिल को लगाया जो कुछ है सो वो ही है. So when a person comes to that realization, then he doesn't say anything excepting God. Then what about himself? He also belongs to God. That is the idea. Then comes a most wonderful verse. Manmana bhava madbhakto madhyaji mam namaskuru mameva eshyasi satyam te pratijane priyosim. Manmana bhava. Let your mind be full of my thoughts only. Madbhaktaha. You become my devotee. Madhyaji, whatever type of worship you do, you only worship me. We'll come to the explanation. Most wonderful verse is this few. Mam namaskuru. Always you salute me. That is the sadhana. What is the siddhi? Sadhana means, you understand, the effort. What is the result? This verse is divided into two sentences, two lines. The first line is what we should do. The second line is what do we get, what do we win. Karma and karma phala. Sadhana and sadhya. Sadhya means the goal, the result which we are going to achieve. Sadhana means effort. So what is the sadhana? Sadhana manmana bhava. Let all your thought be of me only. Mad bhaktaha. And then whatever worship you do, you worship me only. Mam namaskuru. And then this is the sadhana. What is sadhya? What is the result? Says mameva eshyasi. You will attain me. Means you will become, you realize you are Atman, you are me. There is no difference between you and me. So satyam te pratijane. Pratijane means I give my word. I am telling you the truth. Now the beautiful thing about it, when God speaks, when truth speaks, what does it speak? Can truth speak untruth? So God is truth. That is why whatever God speaks, it is nothing but truth. And why am I speaking to you? Priyosi me. Again saying ishtosi me. Here, priyosi me. You are my most beloved. Here is a wonderful thing. Who is not beloved of God? Does God have, I love somebody and I allow somebody? Understand? Love. In Sanskrit, the letter A is a prefix. When you use it as a prefix, then it gives opposite meaning to that word. For example, krura. Krura is a word. Krura means cruel. That is a Sanskrit word. In English, krura became cruel. Yeah, krura. You put a prefix. Prefix means that which comes before. Suffix means that which comes after the word. So, it's krura, akrura. Akrura means what? Not at all. Ghora means horrendous. Aghora, Aghor Mani. Ki naam. Aghor Mani. You know, Gopal Erma. Aghor Mani. Aghor. Himsa. Himsa. Ahimsa. Like that, akara is there. So, love is the word. What is its opposite? Allow. No, I am making joke. English word, I put one akara to an English word. Love and allow. Before marriage, it is love.
Bharat, no wonder the Gita is taking so long to complete. To elaborate love and allow, you take so long.
I am far better. Our Swami Tyagisharanji, he started taking Gita. This word dharma took 6 months. Then the devotee said, Maharaj, let us move from dharma to kshetra. And a very important word, this word, is I love you. Why does God loves everybody? But everybody cannot love God. Only His grace is needed. So that's why in the Bhagavad Gita itself will come, I don't have any such distinctions that this is my dear person and this person I don't like. But he who worships me, he will be nearest to me. I am also nearest to him. So God is equal to everybody. But we don't allow God to come anywhere near. So what is sadhana? To allow ourselves to be open to God, so that God can come. Light is there, but if you close all the windows with curtains, then how can the light come? So from that point of view, God never makes any distinction. But from our point of view, we make all the distinction. So it is important that we have to get certificate, not from a Swami, not from an ashrama, but from God. If Sri Ramakrishna is pleased with us, then everything will be fine. But if we go on, Swami says, you are a wonderful devotee. It all depends upon how tastily you make your curries and other things. It has nothing to do with your devotion. This is what the Swami gives, certificate. But if God gives it, Ramakrishna says this is, how does he give a certificate? Do you think he prints out and then gives out certificate? No, he reveals himself. He shows himself. That is the only certificate. So he showed to Arjuna. He showed to every devotee. He showed to Sri Ramakrishna. And we also have to pray to him. And when he reveals, then we know that he loves us. And he is pleased with us. Like Sri Krishna was pleased with Arjuna. And then he said, I will show you my Vishwarupa. Where did he say? Where did you read it? 11th chapter. Vishwarupa Sandarshana Yoga. So here 4 yogas are there. In every human mind has got 4 faculties. The first faculty is Manmana Bhava. Means what? Let your mind be filled with no other thought but my thought. There can be 1000 thoughts, but all related to God. This is what is called God-centered love. Ritual is an example of it. What is ritual? It means you are doing puja. You are making garlands. But what is the thought? I am making garland for God. You are cooking. For whom? For God. You are cleaning the place. For whom? For God. You are sitting and then worshipping God. Whom are you worshipping? So, many thoughts. When you are making garland, you are thinking about garland. But it is for whom? For God. So this is the God-centered life. Let every thought, let there be a million thoughts, but let all the thoughts be centered around God. Sri Ramakrishna gives an example. A tortoise lays its eggs on the bank. Where is its mind? What is it thinking? So another example, a mother who gave birth just to a child. She is doing everything. Where is her mind? On the baby. So this is Chitta. This is called Raja Yoga, Dhyana Yoga. This first Manmana Bhava means what? Practice Raja Yoga. Mad Bhakta, Bhakti Yoga. That means be devoted to me. That means what? Your value, your interest should be only of me. You know, we have got a value system. Simple example. Suppose there is a person who loves money. 24 hours, what is he thinking? How to make money, how to make more money, where to get, where to make expenses less, where to get more profit, and all those things. His 24 hours, his mind, he may be doing everything, but his thoughts are value system. What is that he values most? Money. Even life, he doesn't value. Can you understand that? The fellow is trying to read. Hurricane learned that in those days. And then only little bit he opens, just to be able to make out the letters. Why? If he increases, more valuable. That's what Thakur says, you know.
Yeah.
The fellow is about to die and he is telling, reduce the wick so that the oil will be less. The fellow is going to die and he is thinking like that. Within each one of our minds, there is a value system. What is it that we value? Find out. That is where your center of consciousness is there. Yatishan Maharaj is the center of consciousness. What is your values? If you are a devotee, then what would be your value? Only God. That's what he is telling. This is called Bhakti Yoga. Whatever you do, you may do anything, but what is it you value most? Only God should be the highest value in our life. Everything else follows that value. This is called Bhakti Yoga. What is the first one? Raja Yoga. What is the second one? Bhakti Yoga. What is the third one? Madhyaji. Yaji means yajna, pujana, yagnas. In the olden days, yagnas, yagas. Nowadays, pujas, celebrations, rituals. That means what? Not only sitting puja. You go on a pilgrimage, you attend satsanga, and you do puja. You study books like Gita or any devotional scripture. So all these things are part of this Karma Yoga, so that our mind will go towards God. This is called Karma Yoga. Okay. What is the fourth one? Mam Namaskuru. What is the always salute me? Salute me? Namaskar. What is Namaha?
Not me to buy.
Namaha, na mama. To feel, not me. I am not the body, I am not the mind, but I am the Paramatma. That is what in two sadhus meet each other. So, two sadhus meet each other. How do they greet in India? I knew two ways. But yesterday, before yesterday, I heard a third way. I tell you.
Namo Narayanaya.
Namo Narayanaya. That's why Namaskara means I salute the Lord within you. You salute the Lord. Let us see the God within each other. Namo Narayana. There is sadhus have got a special salutation. You know what is that? Drishti saaf hai. Drishti saaf hai. Is your vision clear? Are you able to see God within? That is what is called sadhu's way of greeting. I knew two. But one sadhu came the other day, last Wednesday, he added a third one. I was very overjoyed to get the third one. Nowadays, a lot of bhandaras are going on in Haridwar, Rishikesh, everywhere. So when one sadhu meets another sadhu, पेट ठीक है. Because there is so much eating, the पेट is not all right. पेट साफ है, पेट साफ है. Now the latest. So, Mam Namaskuru, that means whatever object you see, you salute it. This is God, this is God, this is God. Example, Sri Ramakrishna. He always used to see only God in everybody. Holy Mother. Why was she called Holy Mother? Why do we call her Holy Mother? She sees everybody as her children. Sadhu Sajjana Janani Tumima. For her, there is no distinction. This is a good person, this is a bad. Everybody is her child. Who is she? She is the Divine Mother. So what would be the Divine Mother's children will be? Only divine. She sees only God in everybody. Others may not see themselves, but in her eyes, everybody is her own child. Nobody is bad. That's why in the Chandi it is said that even Asuras, they are also her children only. So what does Divine Mother destroy? She only destroys the Maya, so that they can be liberated. That is there clearly in the Chandi. You kill them so that they can attain Sadhyo Mukti, instantaneous Mukti. But these are secrets which we do not understand it. Okay. So Namaskuru means what? Always you salute me. That means you see anything that is Sri Ramakrishna's another example is there. One day he was either going or coming to Calcutta, and then he saw one prostitute. And then what are we seeing? What was he looking? Mother Sita waiting for Rama. That's what he says. I clearly saw Mother Sita. In his eyes, every woman is Divine Mother. That's why this Kumari Puja. And every Durga Ashtami morning, Kumari Puja is done in many of our centers, especially Belur Math, you must have seen. You can see even now, and their videos are there. Swamiji worshipped at least on 5 occasions. He worshipped Kumaris. First Durga Puja, 1901. Do you know how many Kumaris were worshipped?
100.
No, 9. 9. Of them, Swamiji worshipped one Kumari with his own hands. And most important, I read somewhere recently, this Swamiji, he went to Ghazipur, and there was Rai Bahadur Gagan Gagan Chandra, what is there? Some name is there. Gagan Chandra somebody. Roy, Gagan Chandra Roy. His daughter, Monica Rai. She was a small girl. Swamiji, it seems, worshipped her. Interesting story. So, he worshipped. And then he went away. Like that Kheer Bhavani. He worshipped several girls. Then at Kashmir, the daughter of a boatsman,
Muslim girl.
Muslim girl. That shows, what does it show? If there is no Muslim, there is no Hindu, there is no Brahmana and Kshatriya, any small girl is Devi. And Swamiji believed in it, and then he worshipped in Kheer, in Kashmir, a Muslim girl, astounding. Sister Nivedita and others in front of, they never saw any small girl being worshipped like goddess herself. But this story of Monica Rai, this Monica Rai married one gentleman, I forget his name. He was the first vice chancellor of Lucknow University. And then this lady, astonishing story, this lady, she started smoking and drinking wine publicly in the parties. Now they thought in those days. So Swamiji worshipped this girl as Devi, and this was the result. But here, what happened later on, all of a sudden, she was married, she had children, and she renounced everybody, went to Vrindavan, took sannyasa, became Ma Jashoda. And she became so spiritual, so highly regarded. One English professor of Lucknow University took initiation from her and became very famous, like Jogi Krishna Prem. Probably most of you have not heard. Right? If you go to internet, probably you will see his name. Krishna Prem. He became very famous in those days in India. So she established an ashram near Almora, 18 miles away.
It's close to where we are, Swamiji.
Huh?
It's close to where we are.
Right.
Yeah, Krishna
And
Prem.
then Krishna Prem. He has written some books on Gita and other things. Very nice books, beautiful books. So in the last 2 days, he was only meditating upon Krishna and then much. If Swamiji worshipped a girl like a Devi, what do you think is going to happen? There is also a reason why he did all those things that I'm not going to go into it, but briefly I will tell you, because he needed power and he believed power comes only from the Divine Mother, and all this is ways of doing. Thakur also worshipped a Muslim girl. If you remember, you have to remember all those things, meditate. He said, I saw that myself and one Muslim girl, small girl, both were naked and we were running. Like that he had some bhava, visions, etc. were there. He must have worshipped, he worshipped of course Holy Mother.
So Maharaj, is there a difference between worshipping an image and a real person then?
Sorry, worshipping?
Is there a difference
Ah.
in worshipping an image
Ah.
compared to worshipping a real little girl?
No, the idea is
What is
that they say for most of us, we feel better worshipping an image. A real person, to see God or Goddess in a real person, it doesn't last long. The moment this girl starts hollering and asking for some things and then these things, all the devotion will fly away. Yeah. Very few could do that. But this is a wonderful concept. And the Divine Mother, one of the names of Divine Mother is Kumari, Kaumari. That's why in Kanyakumari, she is worshipped as Kumari. And one of the names in the Puranas, even though married, she is still Kumari. She is married, still she is Kumari, means you understand? Unmarried. How could it be? Because Divine Mother doesn't give birth like us in a physical way. It is all her creation. The whole universe is creation. And yet she is Nitya Kumari, always Kumari. This is the concept we have to understand everywhere. But if you want power, worship the Divine Mother. And no better than worshipping Kumari. That's why Shodashi Bala. from 3 years until 16 years, different names are there. For each Kumari, 2 years old one name, 3 years old one name, 4, like that. There is a different name is there. But everywhere in Belur Math especially, this Kumari Pujas, you have to see, even President Maharaj will go and bow down to her and then give some presents and all that. It's the most marvelous thing that happened. Anyway, but let us come back to Namaskuru. Namaskuru means that you always salute. Saluting what as what? As God. That means it is, what is that yoga where you see everything as God? Jnana Yoga. So this Raja Yoga, Bhakti Yoga, Karma Yoga and Jnana Yoga all beautifully summarized here. Why? Because every human mind has got these 4 faculties. What are those 4 faculties? The first is will, here according to this. The second is emotion. The third is activity. Fourth is intellect. So you use all the faculties. This is the special message of Sri Ramakrishna, the harmonious combination of a very particular yoga. Then comes the Charama Sloka, and this is the last real teaching. There is no more teaching here. After that, qualification to whom Gita should be taught and to whom it should not be taught, and this is the end of it. This is the last teaching in this Bhagavad Gita. Because it is the last teaching, it is called Charama Shloka. Charama means the very last. It is also called Charama because it is the most ultimate teaching. In this verse, it is the Lord, in one verse he says, this is the ultimate sadhana you have to do. All sadhanas lead to this, which means complete surrender, self-surrender. We will discuss because this is very important for us. Sarva dharman parityajya mamekam sharanam vraja aham tva sarva papebhyo mokshayishyami ma shujya. This verse also is divided into 2 parts. The first part is called sadhana. The second part is called sadhya. That is, one is the means, second is the attainment. So what is the first one? What is the means? Sadhana. What is it? Sarva dharman parityajya mam ekam sharanam vraja. Give up all dharmas and surrender totally to me. This is the ultimate sadhana. Everybody has to do it. You approach through Karma Yoga, Bhakti Yoga, Raja Yoga, Jnana Yoga, but ultimately all will join the jump off point. This is the jump off point. And it is also most confusing. Arey Baba, the God himself incarnates for what purpose? Establishment of dharma. And here he is telling Sarva dharma, not only one dharma. Give up every dharma. Means completely become adharmic. Sarva dharma, but he give up all dharmas. Means what? What does that mean? And so it is, so many people try to interpret so many ways. Sri Ramakrishna gives his own beautiful interpretation, which we follow with Shankaracharya. I am fond of Shankaracharya. So it's okay. What does first it dharma means? Dharma means punya. Punya means what? How can you get punya? Punya means, you understand? Virtue. Punya is like credit. How you use credit card, that's a different matter. So, how does one get punya? By sitting?
Righteous work, righteous deed.
Actions. We have to do righteous actions. Automatically what it means is that righteous actions and sinful actions both bind us. What is the difference? The sinful actions bind us with iron shackles, and the virtuous actions bind us with what? Golden shackles. So you have to go beyond all shackles. Vidya Maya, Avidya Maya, both are shackles. Maya is Maya, Vidya or Avidya. You have to go beyond Maya. That is the goal. So here, actions are done by what means? There are means. Actions themselves have to be done through some instruments. What are the instruments we use to perform actions?
The right knowledge.
No, instrument.
Oh, instrument.
Body.
Body.
Body is the instrument. You know, you want to go, you want to see, you want to smell, you want to catch something, you want to touch, you want to smell, you want to hear, you want to taste. Any action is possible only through the 5 sense organs plus the mind. But if you want to go beyond papa and punya, virtue and vice, what is the Lord saying? You have to get out of the identity with body, mind. This is the essence of it. He is telling Sarva Dharman Pari, don't become adharmic. What it means is, first you overcome adharma with dharma. After that, give up also dharma. As I told you earlier, this is the essence of Upanishads. That is why Upanishadic ideas come here again and again. Katha Upanishad, there is an Upanishad called Katha Upanishad. In the Katha Upanishad, Nachiketa goes to Yamadharmaraja and he asks one question. Tell me about that which is beyond both dharma and adharma. That means, tell me the truth about that reality which is beyond the body and mind. So, usually, this is the meaning we made. Sarvadharma, oh, I give up everything. But after giving up everything, what are you supposed to do? Are you supposed to give up anything? No, don't give up. You do whatever is to be done in the correct way, in the righteous way. But first give up the karma phala. Then give up the karma phala means attachment to karma phala. Let me clarify it here. I did it already in my past class, but because we keep forgetting, attachment maya comes through 3 ways. Through attachment. Attachment is maya. Attachment manifests in 3 ways. The first, through karma phala attachment. Karma phala sangha. Second is karma sangha. Third is ahankara sangha. Let me elaborate slightly. With an example. Suppose Ramakrishna Mission is there. One brahmachari or sadhu is looking after a garden. You know, a garden, cowshed, office, puja, so many works are there. Say this sadhu is allotted work in the garden. And his sadhus do, they grow beautifully, flowers, dahlias and all those. Dahlia Swami is there in Aurobindo. Very huge dahlias, especially near Calcutta because of the Ganga Bhavani, Ganga fall. Ganga gives fall in 2 ways, do you know that?
Yes.
Wherever Ganga soil is there, that soil gives the yields the highest size of potatoes, vegetables, dahlias in Belur Math, this big. Very rarely we see that. Because of that silt. The other Ganga fall. Yeah, one of our sadhus, you know, South Indian sadhus, accused a North Indian Bengali sadhu, you are a fish eater. The sadhu says, I never eat fish. I only eat fruits. This is Ganga fall. When I told this to some Bengalis, they did not know what is Ganga fall. First time they heard from me and said, we learned something very new from you, thank you. From now onwards we will eat only fruits. So,
actually, in the old days it was known as Ganga Pushpa.
oh, Ganga Pushpa. Oh, you added something new to it. So, this attachment comes first to fruit. Suppose this sadhu has grown beautiful garden, flowers, fruits, vegetables, everything. And when visitors visit the place, everybody is all praised. Now, has he got any right to use those fruits or flowers for himself? What should he do? He should offer it only to Thakur, offer it to only to the kitchen or whatever it is. He has not the slightest special right. I am looking after the garden, so I have a special power, a right to use these fruits or flowers. He has nothing, because, and he should not feel proud that I have grown these fruits. That is called phala asakti visarjana yaga. Then you see, this person he loves gardening. He loves what? Gardening. That is called karma shakti. Suppose he said, you go and do puja. If he is asked to go and do puja, he feels very bad. Arey, this wonderful garden, and I have to give it up, and then I have to, they think, sadhus think, deep thinking, I have to get up at 2 o'clock, I have to go to the Ganga and take bath, and then I have to open, and nobody is there to help me. Every single day there is no holiday for puja. In ordinary centers, there is no holiday. Once in a way, if he falls sick, that is a holiday. And then if he wants to go to some other place, he has to take leave. Otherwise, Saturday, Sunday. But all the office goers, Saturday, Sunday, maja hi maja. Yeah. I am looking forward, July, August. I have no lectures at all. Aram kori, I don't need to worry. But so many other lectures are coming on the way. Anyway, what is the point? Phala Shakti is gone. Then Karma Shakti is there. There was one sadhu who hated puja. So every time only puja work will come. He got disgusted. He went and told to his Mahanta, I want a transfer from here. So he was transferred to some other place. He said, I will come only on one condition, no puja. So the other head of the center accepted it. So this man went there. And just before he went, that pujari who was doing puja there, he wanted to go on a pilgrimage for a month. And then that Mahanta, as soon as this man landed, bhai dekho, that pujari, and he took leave, poor fellow, for years together he has been doing, temporarily for 1 month you do. The moment he landed there, the first thing that came was only puja. He could not say no, because it's only for 1 month. And he knew puja very well. So he did puja. Meanwhile, the pujari went somewhere and said, I am not going to come back. I am tired of that. So permanently, he is not appointed as pujari. So many times what we don't want, that thing again and again comes to us. The point here is karma asakti, attachment to one particular type of job. It limits our happiness. I will be happy only in this work, and in this office, and in this country, and in this place, and under this boss. These are all attachment. Whatever comes, we have to accept it. So this is then this brahmachari, okay, somehow he got rid of it. That means he is ready to do any job, whatever is given. And then the third, highest, this attachment to aham. So, okay, but don't touch me. Sometimes we are so sensitive, little bit, whatever things do not go according to our way, immediately we feel bad. If somebody says some bad word, all our years of meditation goes in vain. So many things happen. So don't have ahankara, asakti to ahankara. Means what? Have the ahankara, but don't, if somebody ruffles the feathers, don't be ruffled. Be calm, be quiet. What is there? He said something. It is for this purpose Thakur had to teach to Swami Yogananda and to Swami Niranjanananda. Same incident. Why did he teach? Two different, diametrically opposite type of teaching. What is the problem? Both were suffering from ahankara. One was suffering from inferiority ahankara, not really inferior. He was pretending inferiority. The other person was pretending superiority. Both are obstacles in spiritual life. That is why Ramakrishna had to scold both of them for two different reasons. But the common purpose is to reduce their
Ego.
ego. Otherwise, what is spiritual sadhana? Get rid of the ego. Transform the ego from my ego to his ego. So, sarvadharman parityajya. But parityajya means what? There is another goal. What is that goal? All actions have got only one aim. Ultimate. What is it? Sharanagati. So he says, Mamekam Sharanam Raja. Take refuge in me alone. Me means what? Here, who is talking?
Ego.
That is why Vedanta differentiates between three me's. Ekarupa me, Anekarupa me, Arupa me. What is Ekarupa? Ekarupa means we are devotees of Ramakrishna. So for us, Ramakrishna is Ekarupa. But there are Hare Krishna people. They are Ekarupa. Ekarupa worshippers. That means they worship whom? That's why they say salvation cannot be had by anybody. They are so Aman Goda. The Mahamantra, you know what is the Mahamantra? Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, They don't want that. Ekarupa. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama. The Krishna has to come first, not Rama. Yeah, you tell them first Hare Rama, they will slap you. First Krishna comes. Whereas what Sri Ramakrishna taught us, everybody is worshipping only same God in different forms. That is called Aneka Rupa Ishvara. Aneka Rupa Ishvara means Jesus Christ is also Ishvara, Buddha is also Ishvara, Allah also is Ishvara, Rama is Ishvara, Krishna is Ishvara, and Shiva is Ishvara, Devi is Ishvara. The same God is manifesting in different forms. So we have no problem. We can go and worship in any temple or no temple at all. Anything is enough for us. Whereas that Ekarupi sadhakas, they are godas, they become. And they kill, they do so many things, all in the name of God. That is the most horrible thing that happens. So here when Sri Krishna is speaking, he is not speaking about Ekarupa, because Ekarupa is what? I am Krishna, I am Arjuna's Sakha, I am Pandava's Hitaishi, and no. He is not speaking about Bahurupi. Bahurupi means Arjuna Sa, Vishwarupa. All gods, goddesses, human beings, every being, living, non-living. Yes, I Sahasra Sirsha Purusha. But he is not also Aneka Rupi. But he is Arupi. Arupi means what? Arupa is that which can become any Rupa. It can become all Rupas. That is what Sri Ramakrishna is. Namo Namo Prabhu. Vakya Mana Atit. What is the next sentence? Beautiful sentence. Mano Vachana Ek Adhar. The mind, the speech cannot function unless there is the background of this something which is beyond both speech and thinking, speech and thought. That is every time, Avatar Varishthai, Niranjana Nararupatara, Nirguna Gunamaya. Is Nirguna, is also Gunamaya. So this is the idea, we worship Arupa Thakur, but we can choose to worship him in any form. This is what Krishna is telling, not as Ekarupa Ishvara, not as Bahurupa Ishvara, but he is Arupa Ishvara because he is infinite, he is eternal, he is everywhere, etc. This is what is telling. Sharanam Vrija. Sharanam Vrija means what? You forget yourself, you merge yourself in me. So if a drop of water falls into the ocean, what does the water become? Now what do you call it? The moment this drop falls into the ocean, it acquires a new name. It is called now ocean. So that is what every devotee has to become. This is called Sharanagati. You become from one, you become the all. And to become the all, you must destroy yourself. Sharanam Braja.
Braja means what?
Attain, go, take surrender. Braja means the real meaning of Braja is you go. You go means what? You take surrender as your sadhana and go and fall, disappear. You lose yourself, get lost. English language they say get lost. So get lost. Then only that's Thakur's words, corresponding words. When do I realize God? When you die, you realize God. Arey Baba, when do I realize God? When you die, you realize. Means what? Very difficult to translate it into any other language because the original flavor will be lost. If I dies, then I remain. When I die, I remain. I become everything. I cannot be destroyed. That's the idea. This is called Sharanagati. Okay, what is the time now?
वृंदावन के ब्रजधाम वाला है महाराज.
Brajadham. So, here Sharanagati, I want to expound a little bit because I only gave the most superficial meaning, but it's real day-to-day practical life. I told you many times about Ramanujacharya's concept or definition of Sharanagati. Sharanagati has got 6 phases. What is that, you know? First of all, whatever pleases God, that is what I do. Whatever doesn't please God, I will give up. And I have faith. God alone can save me. I choose God. Then I place all my responsibility on God. Then I remain absolutely humble that it is God's grace which allowed me to surrender myself to God. That's why Girish Chandra Ghosh's beautiful incident. Who surrendered Girish Chandra Ghosh to Thakur? Did he surrender himself? Thakur said, you give me your Bakalnama, power of attorney. Because he told so many things. Remember me morning and evening. He said, when I am drunk, I don't know what is morning and what is evening. He said, then remember me before you eat food. He said, so many times I have eaten food without knowing that I have eaten food. Then Thakur said, all right, give me your power of attorney. As soon as he said that, immediately he said yes. And then he thought that he is scot-free. He can do whatever he likes. Then he understood each breath is possible only by the will of God. He has to remember, I am not breathing. If he says I am breathing, then he is guilty. He has not given the power of attorney. Each breathing, it is he who makes it possible for me to breathe. So this idea, Shadvida Sharanagati.
Can you repeat, Maharaj?
Huh?
Can you repeat the 6?
Yes, I am first telling Sanskrit. Anukulasya sankalpaha. I think I told you before. It is somewhere among your, lying in your old notes. Pratikulasya varjanam. Rakshishyasiti vishwasaha. Goptritva varnam. Atmanikshepaha. Karpanye. Iti sadguna shadguna sharanagati. Shadvidha Sharanagati. You Google it, it will come immediately. You don't need to Google. It is there in Google. What is it first? Anukulasya sankalpa. Sankalpa, you know, I take a vow. What is it? Anukula. Anukula means whatever is pleasing to the Divine Lord, I will do it. Pratikulasya varjana. whatever displeases the Lord, I will never do it. Rakshishyasiti Vishwasa, absolute faith that only God will save me and nothing else can save me. Fourth, Goptritva Varnam. Okay, I understand that, but actually you have to surrender yourself and say, Goptritva Varnam. I have decided to surrender myself to God. It's called Gopt. Varnam means, Barankara. Barankara means I choose to have this. It says I have chosen to surrender myself to God. First sankalpa, like puja. And Atmanikshepa. Fifth one, Atmanikshepa. Actually, I place all my burden upon Him. Then sixth, Karpanye means it is possible for me to surrender myself to God and be free from all these worries only by His grace. Karpanya means humility, utter humility. It was never possible for me. It has become possible only by the grace of God. These are Shadvidha Sharanagati. Okay, let me elaborate it in practical life. What does this mean? Every day we say, Sharanagata we say, Sharanagata. After that, you fellow, I prayed to you, you didn't do it. That's not Sharanagati. How many times do you need to do Sharanagati? Real Sharanagati you can do only once. Because morning you did Sharanagati, evening this is I Sharanagatam. The Lord is surprised. Morning you gave everything to me. Where did you get this now to offer me a second time? Huh? Real Sharanagati can be done only once. Only once the drop falls into the ocean. But until that time, it's a repeated effort. Okay, what does this in physical means? First thing, I am only giving very briefly. Whatever we are, our body, our family, accept it as the will of God. I am like this. Don't feel bad. Many people feel bad. Most of us feel bad. Everybody feels. If I am only 1 inch taller, and the fellow who is taller says, if only 1 inch shorter, 1 inch thin, 1 inch thick. So many non-acceptances are there. No. Whatever me, I accept. First. Secondly, whatever be my circumstances, accept it. Don't say this is good, this is bad. Everything is ultimately good. We don't know. We can't see the future. We have not been able to see the past. We are not been able to see the future. That is why whatever happens, any incident is good for me. And later on, if we are wise, look back and say, oh, that was good that happened. I became better person because of that incident. You will always notice it. So first of all, accept the physical side of things. Secondly, accept the
experience.
The mental condition. I am quite happy, even if I am ugly, even if I am less intelligent, even if nobody appreciates me. This is all very good, very good, very good, very good. Everything is the right thing for me. That's why I always say, tailor-made for our betterment. Every circumstance. If the husband is giving one big slap, very good. Yeah, I'm not joking. It's good. Because then we see, in the future, I don't want any husband, and I don't want any wife, I don't want any children, I don't want anybody, no troubles. I will become monk. But if you ask a monk, then he will also say, I don't want to remain a monk. The goal of every sannyasi is to become atyashrami, to go beyond even that idea of sannyasi. It means no rules, no regulations, no putting on girva cloth, no timings, because totally everything belongs to God. Was Sri Ramakrishna putting on pavi cloth when he was there? He was living with Holy Mother. What rules, regulations? No ordinary sannyasi can do that. Only Sri Ramakrishna can do it. Only Shiva can do it. Only Parvati can do it. This is the idea. So, accept whatever happens as good. Don't protest. If you protest, still you have to go through it, but You will learn a valuable lesson after suffering a lot. Mentally, whatever the circumstances, accept it. Whatever the events, accept it. I am not saying, having accepted, you just sit quietly. Learn the lesson and say, move forward. Accept and move forward. What best can I do to become a better person? So, accepting everything as the will of God, that is the sign of true self-surrender. The example, most beautiful example, the story of the Ramaricha. Everything, whatever happened, you can meditate upon that. And then supposing, you know the story of the weaver, Ramaricha. Supposing the magistrate says, I don't understand your devotion and you have been caught with these stolen goods, I will put you 2 years behind jail. What do you think he would have said? Ramaricha. When Thakur had cancer, what did he said? Maya Richa. He said that. And he meant it. That's why he said, I can't pray against mother's will. I have no will. So that is called self-surrender. That is our goal. It is a long way off. But let us try slowly. How do we try? Whatever happens now, that is the best thing that happens. This is the ultimate, this thing. So, surrender. Then what happens? What is the result? Aham tva sarva papebhyo mokshayishyami mashuchaha. Mashuchaha. Mashuchaha means do not grieve. Do not grieve because you will not grieve. Once you surrender everything to me, it's my responsibility. You will be only Ami Khai, Ami Dai, Ami Ananda Thaki. It is what Thakur used to say. I don't know anything about this thing. It is mother who knows. So, in the beginning of the Bhagavad Gita itself, in the very beginning, if you remember, the Lord says, Hey Partha, and you are talking like a pandit. And what are you doing? You are weeping like a most ignoramus person on earth. But what do panditas do? They neither weep for the living nor weep for the dead. That means what? They are always merged in supreme Ananda. Yeah. This is what says Shuchi, Shoka. Your face is full of grief, full of suffering, and yet you are talking like a pandit. A pandita, real pandita, will not weep, neither for the living nor for the, because their vision is always looking into the Atman only. That is what he is telling, Mashuchaha. Why? But why should not I grieve? Because I will release you from all papa. What is papa? Bondage. What is bondage? Your sukha is bondage. That's why sukha is there. I will release you both from sukha, not only from dukkha, but I will also release you from sukha. Why? Sukha is a golden bondage. And you can't enjoy sukha without dukkha. I discussed it elaborately. You know, how much can you enjoy food? As much as you feel, no. Feel hunger. Not, you may have big stomach, but if you are not hungry, you can't enjoy it. It depends. If you are 50% hungry, you will enjoy 50%. That is the beautiful thing. We are buying sukha by payment of the dukkha. And we are also paying purchasing dukkha by paying sukha. Because immediately after sukha, because your desire is endless. You have eaten up to here. But the curry or the food is so tasty, you want to eat again. You are regretting, if only I could eat more. But you can't eat. Therefore, you go around the block 10 times, wait for 3-4 hours, and then until you feel hunger again, you can't enjoy it, and you are longing. So what is the way? You buy dukkha. That is the only way you can enjoy again. So this game is going on. You buy sukha through dukkha, and you buy dukkha through sukha. This comes one after the other. It's so difficult for us to understand. We don't want dukkha, but we want dukkha. Without dukkha, we cannot enjoy really. Is it not? Is it possible? Is it understandable? If you are not tired, you can't enjoy rest. If you are not thirsty, you can't enjoy drink. If you are not hungry, you cannot enjoy your food. What?
Does this rule apply to the hunger and thirst for satsanga as well? You know, like the more hungry you are, the more you'll enjoy.
Yeah, for anything, longing. That's why Sri Ramakrishna used to shed tears at the end of the day. Oh mother, I have not seen you, one more day is gone, like that. So, what is the point? I will release you from both iron shackles as well as from the golden shackles. And then we go beyond. That is Ananda. I will give you Ananda. And Ananda comes only through one way. What is that way? To know that I am the nature of Ananda. I don't want happiness, but I want to be happiness. I also discuss this. What is the difference between having happiness and being happy? Whatever you have, it will go. Because before you didn't have it, then you have it, and then after some time, you will not have it. Body, it came in time. So in time also, it disappears. Whatever we have possessive case, mind, it comes and it goes. And whatever never disappears, always with us, that is me. And that is Atma. And that's what you will realize when you surrender yourself, when the untruth surrenders to truth, when the Maya surrenders to God, then it knows, I am God. And that is the end of it. And with this, the Gita has come. The rest we can finish next class. And all this we discussed about the Bhagavad Gita is the essence of the Upanishads, but the ultimate is Sharanagati. And that is what every day with Tasmat Tvameva Sharanam Mama Sharanagata Dinartha Paritrana Parayani Sarvasya Arti Haredevi. All sadhanas ultimately culminate in this supreme sadhana, only one sadhana. That sadhana is complete self-surrender. You can go and fall into the ocean through this door, or you can go and fall into the ocean through the other door. But all are doors. Finally, everybody has to fall into the ocean. And that ocean is none other than Satchidananda Sagara. This is the Jivatma, Paramatma become absolutely one, and that becoming one is called Sharanagati, and that Sharanagati teaching has been given in this Charama Shloka, and that is the essence of not only Gita, not only Upanishads, not only Vedas, but all these scriptures. That is the end of it. So we have come to the end of the Gita.
Alright, if somebody has Sharanagati,
Yeah.
then can he say that I am hungry, I want to eat, I want to go there, I want to do this? Can he do that?
Really speaking, no. Because he doesn't feel, when you say I, who is it that says I?
Yeah, that God.
So this is, it's a good question. When I say I am hungry, God is not saying. Swami Dayatmananda is saying. But when Sri Ramakrishna or Holy Mother say I am hungry, then what does he mean? It is only God who is working. Even to God doesn't become hungry, but the body becomes hungry. So God says, I am not hungry, but in the form of the body, this body needs some replenishment. So there is no ahankara there. There is no bondage there. Whereas I have got bondage. If I get good food, I am elated. If I get bad food, I am depressed. And if I don't get any food, I become mad. Yeah. If I get food, I am glad. If I don't get good food, I am sad. And if I don't get anything, I become mad. Yeah, this is, we are jumping from one state to the other. And Sri Ramakrishna feels this body is hungry, this body is born, this body is dying. I have nothing to do with it.
So all the thing that you do is regarding that body in that terms.
Absolutely
I
about
want to
body.
Go there, I want to go there, I want to do this.
Yes.
I want to meet that person.
Yes, all body only, nothing but body. Yeah. The mind doesn't exist independent of the body. It always works in tangent with the body only. If the body is not there, the mind has absolutely no desire either to be or not to be or anything. This is the truth. Anyway, same truth we will have through Karma Yoga, Bhakti Yoga, Raja Yoga. Let us finish next class. Hopefully I will finish it. Or it may take long time because Janaki is not there. So now I am frightened that he is going on and on and on.
4 years.
4 years?
Yes.
Too much?
Gita.
Yeah, Gita.
When I came here, he was doing Gita. 7.5 years. Yeah. He was in the second chapter.
When
when I came.
I was thinking, my sister.
No, you know, probably he is thinking. You see, my transfer has come only at the end of Gita. If he had finished 4 years back, maybe I would have been transferred at that time. No, maybe the Swami starts Bhagavad Gita there when you reach there. But anyway, we had a good time, we will have something else. Om Vasudeva Sutam Devam Kamsachanam Ramardanam Devaki Paramanandam Krishnam Vande Jagadgurum. Very briefly, one devotee requested me to explain Gayatri Mantra. You know Gayatri Mantra is one of the most ancient mantras, and it is more than few thousand years old. It is the oldest mantra. It is one of the best mantras. It is called Gayatri because there is a meaning of the word. Why that mantra is called Gayatri Mantra? In Vedic poetry, there is a chandas, it is called. Chandas means meter. So for example, Gita, most of the shlokas are called Anushtup chandas. It contains 8 letters. Gayatri contains 24 letters in 3 parts. 8, 8, 8. 3 into 8. That is called Gayatri. That is why the mantra's name is Gayatri. Gayatri is also the name of the goddess, who is represented by the sun. Gayatri. The meaning of Gayatri is a beautiful word, like mantra. You know what is the meaning of mantra? Mananat trayate iti mantra. By repeating that which saves us is called mantra. Mananat. Manana means what? Repeated thinking. Manana. Shravana, manana. Gayatri, same meaning. Gayantam trayati iti Gayatri. Gayantam means what? Jini gan kore. He who sings or repeats japa. Trayate. He is saved. So it is a Taraka mantra, saving mantra. By singing the mantra which saves one, that particular mantra is called Gayatri. That is the meaning of Gayatri. A devotee here called Gayatri. Yeah. But if you go on saying Gayatri, Gayatri, she is not going to save you. But if she repeats Gayatri mantra, this mantra, as I told, consisting of 24 letters, and it is divided into 3 parts, each consisting of 8 letters. Now, if you look here, Om Bhur Bhuva Swaha Tat Savitur Varenyam Bhargo Devasya Dhimahi Dhiyo Yona Prachodayat. This is a beautiful printout. Why it is beautiful? It is divided into 4 parts. The first part, Om Bhur Bhuvah Swaha, has nothing to do with Gayatri Mantra. It is a later on addition. This is called Vyahruti Mantras. Don't worry about Vyahruti. What is Vyahruti? It is Vedic mantras. It has been added later on. It is not part and parcel of the Gayatri Mantra at all. The real Gayatri Mantra is Om Tat Savitur Varenyam Bhargo Devasya Dhimahi Dhiyo Yonah Prachodayat. How many? 3. Now, Tat Savitur Varenyam, this is taken from Rig Veda. Bhargo Devasya Dhimahi is taken from Yajur Veda. Dhiyo Yonah Prachodayat is taken from Sama Veda. That means the essence of Hindu scriptures is Vedas. Vedas are 3 in the beginning. Later on it became 4th, Atharvana Veda. But in the beginning it was only 3. And incidentally, this Atharva Veda has become transformed into modern tantric practice and philosophy. I will not go into it right now. Now, these 3, Rig Veda, Yajur Veda and Sama Veda. So it is said Brahma was requested by some rishis that these Vedas are too long, so you give the essence. Like we bring butter from milk. So he churned Rig Veda and came out with this first. That's Varenyam. Then he churned Yajur Veda and came out with Bhargo Devasya Dhimahi. Then he churned Sama Veda and he came out, the essence came out, Dhiyo Yonah Prachodayat. And there are lazy fellows, Pipu Pisus, many are there. They said, this is also too much. So, Brahma, Charan, Tat Savitur Varenyam, he came out with Bhu. Then he charaned Bhargo Devasya Dhimahi, then he came out with Bhuvaha. Then he charaned Dhiyo Yonah Prachodayat. He came up with Swaha. And then somebody added Omkara. So Om, Bhu represents Tat Savitur Varenyam. Bhuvaha represents Bhargo Devasya Dhimahi. And this Swaha represents the essence of, So even more Pipu Pisu, he said this is called Vyakruti. This Bhur is called Vyakruti. It is too much for us. So he churned them again and he came up with Om. You understand now? So by repeating this 24-lettered Gayatri Mantra, the essence you realize Bhur Bhuva Swaha. And if you meditate upon Bhur Bhuva Swaha, in the end, you will come to Om. And if you meditate upon this Om, then you realize the essence of Om, which is none other than Paramatma himself. Who says this? Sri Ramakrishna says. Where does he say? Very beginning, first page of the Kathamrita, I am entered there. The essence of Sandhya is Gayatri. The essence of Gayatri is Om. And the essence of Om is Bhagavan, Paramatma. Okay, let us explore now these 3. The first thing, Tat Savituhu Varenyam. Tat Savituhu means Savita is the Devata. According to Hindus, everything that we see has a Devata behind it. The sun is we are all offshoots of the sun. We are eating the sun. Our body is made up of food. Food comes from sun in the form of what is food? Energy. So, with this body requires energy. And the energy comes in the form of food. And the food itself is manufactured, that is, the energy becomes grossified into food. Food again becomes solidified in the form of energy, and ultimately it is all from the sun. That's why the sun is not mere a burning gas, but it is a Devata for those who could see it. So that Devata has different names. One name is Gayatri, another name is Savitri, also is the name. So now, this what is called Tat Savituhu Varenyam. Varenyam means the best, the most marvelous essence of the sun. Then the next one is Bhargaha Devasya Dhimahi. Dhimahi means we meditate. We meditate. Meditate upon what? The very essence of the best expression of the Savitru Devata, who is not the sun, but that which is behind the sun. And what is that Bhargaha? Bhargaha means the very greatness, Mahima. What is the Mahima? Here, knowledge. Mahima is always knowledge. What is the knowledge? That you are Paramatma. You are not the sun, you are the Paramatma. And that Paramatma manifests in the form of the sun. And the sun manifests in the form of energy. So we meditate upon the real nature of the sun, which is Paramatma. Devasya Bhargaha. Devasya means Surya Savita Devasya. Bhargaha means Prakashaha, or knowledge, or real nature. Dhimahi, we meditate. What is the purpose? This is what we do, sadhana. What do we expect? Dhiyo yonaha, dhiyo yonaha prachod. Prachodayat means let him guide. Like Krishna driving the chariot of Arjuna. So Arjuna is praying, "O Krishna, I meditate upon you. May you guide my understanding." Means, may you take charge and may I be an instrument in your hands. So this is what we are ignorant people. So we do not know what is the truth, what we should do. So you sit in the chariot of my buddhi and you guide. That means give me right understanding. Now the meaning is clear. Dhiyo means my buddhi. Naha means us, our. Our. Naha, the word naha means ours. Yeah, Sanskrit. Yeah. Dhiyo yo naha, naha dhiyaha prachodayat. O Lord, I meditate, we meditate upon, it is plural. We meditate upon the best of your true nature, and that is knowledge. And may you, who is Paramatman, may you sit in my buddhi and give, and you drive my buddhi. Means what? You give me. This is a Sharanagati mantra. I surrender my buddhi to you. Now, from now onwards, you be my guide and drive my buddhi. That means what? Shakali, tumhari ichha, whatever, jamni nachao, timni nachi, jamni bolao, timni boli. O Mother, Sadanandamayi Kali, apni nacho, apni gao, apni dao ma paratali. You are doing everything, but I don't understand it. But give me the understanding that it is you who is running the whole show, but I am feeling, I am a puppet, but the puppet thinks I am doing it. So now this is a mantra for surrender and say, "O Lord, I surrender myself to you totally, and you take charge of me. Whatever I need to do, you do it through my body. Let me remain as an instrument, as your dasa, as your bhakta, as your son. I am a devotee, I am your child, I am your servant, but I surrender myself." This is the. So let us recollect it again. Tat Savituhu means Savitru Devatas, Varenyam, the best essence, Bhargaha, very real nature, Dhiyo Dhimahi, we meditate upon the best of your real nature. What does best of your real nature means? What? You see, you look into Swami Vivekananda. Take example. Swami Vivekananda was a brilliant speaker, brilliant leader, brilliant singer, brilliant player. You can take any aspect. But they say, no, we want to meditate upon your real nature. What is the real nature of Vivekananda? I am Brahman. I am Brahman. So let us meditate upon your real nature. But even to meditate, I don't know your real nature. But you give me the understanding that to understand, to recognize you and to accept you. And once we know who you are, we have no other way but to surrender ourselves to you. So that's why it says, Bhargo Devasya Dhimahi. Dhimahi means what? May we meditate. We meditate. We meditate, not may we. We meditate. Dhimahi. So what for? We want to know what is the truth. How do we know the truth? That may you give me a right understanding, right knowledge. Simplest translation is, I surrender myself to you. From now onwards, may I be an instrument and may you guide my life. This is the simplest, straightforward meaning of this Gayatri Mantra.
What is Bhurgo Swaha?
Huh?
Om, the addition part of it. Om Bhurgo Swaha means?
Swaha, not Swaha.
Swaha.
Swaha is a mantra when you offer something.
Yeah.
Swaha.
Swaha.
What does it mean? The three, Bhuh, Bhuvaha and Swaha.
Swaha.
This has been given two special meanings, though there are other meanings. Bhuh means this earth.
Okay.
Bhuvaha means, Suvaha means Devaloka, Swargaloka. Bhuvaha means in between our world and the other world.
Okay.
This is outside meaning. Means the whole entire universe we experience every day in three ways. Jagrat, Swapna and Sushupti. Bhuh represents Jagrad Avastha, Swaha represents Sushupti Avastha, and Bhuvaha represents Swapna Avastha. So, Bhur Bhuva Swaha, that means I am going through these three states. If I am going through these three states, don't mind, it's getting a little delayed, but it's okay. Suppose I have my house has 3 rooms. And A, B, C. I am moving, I am in room number A, and after some time I go to room number B, and then I move to room number C, and then again I go back to room number A. What does that mean? That means if I am able to move from A to B, I am not A. If I am able to move from B to C, I am not B. If I am able to move from C to A, I am not C. That means I am totally different from the Jagrad Avastha, gross world. I am different from the dream world. I am different from the causal world. Understand? That means I am somebody who is beyond Jagrat, Swapna, Sushupti. What is that fourth world that I am? That is called Turiya. And that Turiya is represented by this Om. Om means Turiya. This explanation is given in Mandukya Upanishad. Mandukya, 12 mantras, is an explanation of Omkara. A, U, and Ma. And Thakur also gives is Maka. This is not the end of it. Tongue, say that, that is called Turiya, beyond. Anyway, we don't need to go into this intricacies, but what it means is, I am Paramatma. I am not the body, I am not the mind, I am not the causal body, I am Paramatma himself. So if we meditate upon Gayatri Mantra, then the essence of it is this Jagrad Avastha, Swapna Avastha and Sushupti Avastha. If I really have right understanding, I have nothing to do with the gross world, subtle world or causal world. That means who am I beyond all that? I am Brahman. That is the idea. So one who meditates on Gayatri Mantra, ultimately he surrenders himself to Brahman. What does he become? Brahman. Then what does he realize? I am Brahman. That is the meaning of Gayatri.